Hello, friends and fellow boaters and fellow artists. I didn't get the blog in this week. We had some really bad weather. We had up to 60-mile-an-hour winds, some serious rain. I kind of like the wind, but everybody gets really shook up with that. But I have some answers to some questions. Let's see. We'll get to these in a minute. I was asked about how do we take care of electricity on the boat, and can we run regular things? And I got the question because somebody saw me getting a haircut, doing my own haircut, which I decided I'm going to let this thing go wild. Yep, island boy. Anyway, and we just got back. He's kind of tired. He got to play ball. So electric. On this boat, I have a generator. I have the batteries that run the engines, and usually most of your boat electrical system runs on 12 volts. So in order to conserve electricity, I have replaced all of my incandescent lamps with LEDs. So that saves me a lot. Now when the engine's running, just like your car, the alternator charges the batteries and you can run everything. On top of that, I have a generator. The generator in the boat generates 120 volts, just like in your house, just like if you had an RV and you were running the generator. So while the generator is running, I can run the air conditioning unit, whether I'm out on the water, 50 miles, 70 miles out at sea. I run the generator, I can run heat, I can run air conditioning, and I have 2 air conditioning units in here. So the other thing that I have is an inverter. And an inverter is a separate bank of batteries. And I can actually run 4 days my television, my guitar amplifier, my lights, my refrigerator switches from AC to DC to gas. My stove is gas. So pretty much I got the microwave and my sound system and my TV and my printer and my computer and whatnot. That'll run on that inverter for a good 4 days. And then I have to charge the batteries up. So what I would do, start the engines or start the generator and charge the battery up. Generators make a lot of noise. So when you're with other people and you're anchored, you don't want to run your generator early in the morning or late at night because it's irritating as hell. And some people don't know what they're doing, and they'll go out and they'll run it all day and all night, and people want to sink your boat if you do that. It's just not neighbor friendly. Speaking of which, the uninitiated, the untrained, there's rules of the road that you have to pay attention to when you're on the water. And so many people figure, hey, I get a boat, I'll just go out on the water. No. The rules of the road are there's a red and a green buoy. You've got to be between them. And if you're on either side, especially in the New Jersey ICW, there's 2 feet of water on both sides. Same as over here when I was coming into this river. It's a very narrow channel. You have to know how to read your charts. You have to look at your depth sounder. You can't just be like driving in your car. When I learned how to drive my motorcycle, we learned SIPD, scan, identify. There was a word used to make sure that you're looking at every possible option, and it's not you that's going to usually get you in trouble. It's the other person. They're frequently called weekend warriors. You have to learn how to read charts of others. You have to advance your weather plan. You have to do a float plan. A float plan is, hey, I'm going to create this float plan. I'm going to go from A to B. You're going to let somebody know. You're going to have a radio. And when it gets dark, if you don't have nighttime navigational skills, forget it. You need to take a course. If there's nobody on the water and the water's 300 feet deep, 10 miles away, you think it's safe. But what happens if you see a little green light or a little red light or a little white light? You need to know what those lights mean. there are other boats, and especially flags in the water. I'm a dive master, dove for many years. You know how many people almost ran me over? There's a flag in the water. You're supposed to stay 50 feet away from that dive flag. There's a diver down there. All right, so that's my passion about that. I was in Narragansett Bay, and I was on, I think it was Dyer Island. I'm sitting there and I'm fishing. I got my dinghy right on the side of my boat. Some brainless fool that never ran a boat before, obviously, came flying by. He had about a 50-foot boat, brand new, maybe $2.5 million boat, filled with women dancing and scooting and howling. He's probably half drunk. He came so close to me, flipped my dinghy over, and destroyed my motor. It went into the water. I mean, these are the things that you have to be aware of, because there are idiots that just decide that they're going to get a boat and cruise. There's a guy over here, it's all over the news. He got drunk, got in his boat, and he ran right over the top of somebody. I was in Maine with my family when I was about 25 years old, and some idiot in a speedboat, my mom and dad were in a paddle boat, and he's pulling a skier, went right over the top of my mom and dad, and they were in a hospital for a month. It was Canada. We were kind of on the Canada line. So, oh my God, so many things happen. Another good thing to have on your boat is an EPIRB. It's registered with the Coast Guard. If for any reason you sink, if anything happens, once the water hits it, it sends a signal to the Coast Guard and depicts your position. These are all things that, hey, boating can be a lot of fun. It can be so much fun. But you need to get trained. You need to take courses. I belong to the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary. They do courses all the time. And if you really want to get into boating, join your local Coast Guard Auxiliary. It's fun. They're great people, and they're all like-minded. I mean, and you'll get all kinds of training. And you get to go out on a boat. If you don't have a boat, join your Coast Guard Auxiliary. They'll train you. You become a coxswain, and you'll be able to go out on the boats, and the Coast Guard will go out. Auxiliary goes out, and we read. One of the things we do is we read the buoys to make sure that they're in the proper place. Fog. If fog comes, you need to know how to use a foghorn. I'm not going to go into the details and the sounds that you make with a foghorn, but if there's going to be fog, get in or stop your boat, whatever you've got to do. Fog is very dangerous. And I'm going to leave you with this last final thing. When you're at the helm, don't press autopilot and think it's going to take you where you want to go. I captained a 74-foot boat for a summer, and the owner said, hey, I'm going to let my butler, who was, by the way, he made my first mate. I couldn't bring my own first mate. And the butler took a course to learn how to, it was called a six-pack. Anyway, a month later, I get a call that they want me back because he put autopilot on and he pointed it towards Montauk in New York, and he split the boat in half on a reef, and they were stuck there for many hours, 6 to 8 hours, with a boat split in half. Fortunately, they were on the reef, so there wasn't so much water that they were all going to drown. So boating is great. It's fun. Constantly watching your gauges. Never leave your helm. And never leave your helm with somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. And if somebody knows what they're doing and you're going into the lower level, make sure you have a radio. Simple walkie-talkie. A lot of people get really elaborate headsets so that you can communicate. Anything like, hey, would you like a sandwich and a drink? Or, hey, I'm having trouble up here. Could you come up here? Anyway, those are my boating tips for today. And we're kicked back here because the weather's been kind of bad. And I know everybody liked the trip outside. I decided to put the camera way back so it doesn't look too much like I'm sitting in the captain's chair. It's actually the admiral's chair. This is the admiral. He's sleeping. He's having a dream. Hey, you having a dream, bud? Anyway, love you all, my friends, my family. My grandsons are growing so big. I'm impressed, and they're into sports, and all my family are doing so wonderful. And friends, families, art enthusiasts. I've been painting a lot. Those of you who have gone to my website or haven't, there's 100 paintings that were missing off of my website, lawrenceo'learyjr.com, that are now there. So, and I thank you. It was probably thanks to this blog. Somebody said, hey, I went to your website and there's nothing there, and all of the words are not lined up, and you can't see anything. So I want to thank you all that sent me emails about that. So anyway, I thank you all, miss you all, and we'll see you next week. This is blog number 12.